Hello everybody and welcome back to SkySaga Make It Real. So today we're actually going to be talking a little bit about beta, and we're actually going to be making something real from beta, from something that I haven't ever had access to. We're going to try and do our very best to make something from the beta real. Hopefully more than anything just so that it stays in the game until full release. I'm not expecting it to change, but hopefully by making this thing it does actually stay anyway. So what we're looking at in front of me is a Facebook live stream that Boomkin and RockSolid did a couple of days ago. If you haven't seen this yet, I will leave the link of this in the description. Have a look at it because it is awesome. They've gone through and talked a whole lot about a bunch of different things. And most of those things involve Lumostone and tracks and rails, and I'm really excited about this. More specifically for the third iteration, the Bone style one. And this thing is really cool, but unfortunately I don't have the time this week to model this guy up. So what we're actually going to look at ourselves in this episode is the earlier one, the one that actually looks a little bit more like an actual minecart. Here we go. So this is the one that I want to have a look at. And this week we're just going to be modeling this thing up. We're going to get a couple of different screen grabs from this particular video, and then we are going to model this guy up and print this guy out. So I want to do this version exactly as it is here with the gold top and the gold wheels, because I think this looks really cool. So Boomkin and RockSolid did a bit around here, so I'm going to take some screenshots from this and we're going to model this guy up. Now, as I've done before, I actually want to do this as a small scale thing first, and then I'm going to soup it up. So probably not this week and probably not next week, but at some point I would really like to create a version of this that is RC controlled, because of course one of the things you can do with these is you can ride them on rails. And if I just quickly show a little bit of this here, you can see this is the minecart, and Boomkin and RockSolid are having a good time with it. And like I said, they got it all the way around it, which is great because that means that I can take some reference photos. And yeah, you can get in the thing and you can ride it around, just like Boomkin is doing here. So I really do want to do an RC version of this at some point. I have a bunch of RC gear sitting around in my house because I build little combat robots a lot. So the stuff from one of those would actually be quite useful for powering this particular minecart. So this stream was not the only place that this minecart has seen the light of day. It was also on the Twitter feed in a quick little animation like this. So this animation, as you can see, got me a little bit excited about this, got me wanting to do this, and then when I saw this particular image or this particular minecart in this stream, I was like, I have to jump on and do this. Of course, this little drawing didn't have quite enough information for me to actually do a full 3D design for, although it does give me an interesting look at the underside of this thing, because as you can see in the drawing, you've got this nice little lip down underneath that holds the wheels, which is actually kind of useful because none of the images here really show that. So I'm going to have to go through and have a quick look at these guys, see what I can find out about all of this stuff, and yeah, then we can start doing some design work. Also, I'd like to, as this is a video where I'm doing stuff about the beta, I would like to hazard a guess myself about when the beta is going to come out. And while I have absolutely no real idea, just the fact that Boomkin and RockSolid have a version of the beta that they can play around in, and that the dev team are comfortable showing us, means that this thing is actually, it's getting closer. So I mean, I know we've been waiting for a couple of months now, but I would hazard a guess personally that it is somewhere around a month and a half away. Because as I said, they've got an environment, they've got something that they can go in and build and show off to us. So that's a good start at any rate. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to take some shots from this thing, and then we're going to go through and actually try and build this in some modeling software. Here we go. I kind of skipped a few steps here on the video at least, and I have just jumped straight into doing the main structure of this guy. So this is actually coming along pretty well. We have some wheels down the bottom here, and we have a little section underneath that will allow us to put an axle through. At this point in time, I'm thinking I'm going to use an M5 bolt to hold that axle. in place. And the really cool thing about this is I can use an M5 bolt and it's not going to matter because these carts have this kind of hub thing on the outside of them that I am going to in a second hollow out so it can hold the nut and the bolt and the bolt head and all of that kind of stuff. I also still need to put a little bit of detail on here and a little bit of detail on the top of the minecart, but at the moment it is actually pretty good. It's looking a lot like a minecart. It's looking relatively dimensionally accurate to what we saw in the stream. Obviously I didn't have very good angles from the shots that I've taken from the stream, so I can't get anything perfect. I haven't bothered with pixel measurements because it would have been a waste of time. But what I do have is a cart, kind of, sort of. It's getting there very, very, very slowly. But we're almost at that point. And the next thing I'm going to do, I obviously need to add some bolts or some fake bolt heads to this top section, and then I need to decide what colors I'm going to print this guy in, because I've recently got some purple in, and I think it would be really cool to have a purple and gold minecart. So maybe that's what we'll do for this particular version. We'll do a purple and gold version. So yeah, the design and build has been relatively simple. It's mostly been just looking back and forth at some screenshots that I've taken, just like this guy here, and trying to get some relatively decent measurements, or at least by sight measurements, I guess. So if we like fold this in a little bit and then turn this guy around, and now I've lost that image. But yeah, there you go. That's kind of what I've been doing. I've basically just been holding that image up next to this thing and going, I think this bit needs to be a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, you know, and this angle needs to be a little bit more or a little bit less or whatever. So yeah, it's coming along quite well. Let us finish this up and throw it on the printers. Okay, so final reveal time, and things didn't quite come out exactly as I wanted them to. We'll have a quick look. Here we go. Ba-ba-da-da! We have a minecart. It's actually come out pretty well. So, as you can see, the wheels down here are actually on screws. And unfortunately, the screws that I have are too long to actually put this minecart together properly, which is also why the little hubcaps that are supposed to go on the wheels aren't on there yet. A, they don't quite fit. I think I missed putting in the tolerances on these when I did the design work. And B, they wouldn't fit on the other side anyway because this screw is just way, way, way too long. But on the whole, it didn't actually turn out too badly. The top is a little bit interesting because I completely messed up and didn't realize that this thing was not going to fit with the whole height of the minecart in there. So I actually had to grab some pliers out and pull the top of the minecart off. So the minecart was supposed to sit a little bit higher inside this piece of plastic, but because of this slope here, it meant that this top piece was not actually going to be able to jam back on again, and because of all of that, it didn't actually sit down straight on top of the lid, but it does actually still look pretty good. And of course, SkySaga, nothing is exactly square, even though it is a voxel game, so having this a little bit slanted as compared to the actual base of the minecart is probably okay in terms of an actual SkySaga device. But yeah, there you go. So, and it does actually drive around relatively okay. Those wheels have pretty much no traction, so it will just slip all over the place, but it does look like a minecart. So, as I mentioned at the start of this video, I do want to do another version of this that is RC controlled. Obviously, I'm going to have to do something about the huge amount of slip in these wheels, because as you can see, I can just kind of like mess around with those and they would just keep slipping and not actually drive the thing around. So,
yeah, like I said, I need to go ahead and fix that somehow. I need to do some changes to the top to fix that up, and of course, the whole thing could use a bit of a paint job. So the second time we look at this minecart, we are going to do a huge amount of work on it and overhaul it pretty much completely, and it will be pretty cool then, actually. So yeah, this is a good start for the minecart at the very least. And like I said, in the next look at this, it will become a lot better. It's probably actually, looking at this, it's probably going to need to be upsized a little bit, just because this amount of space here is not enough space to put in the 2 motors that I would want to drive both of these wheels. So that's what I'd want to do. I'd want to drive the back 2 wheels and have these 2 spinning freely, just kind of like they are right now. But yeah, so like I said, that is the minecart. It came out pretty well, not too bad at all. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this one, and I will see you in the next video.